Rome's finest. Learn more right after this.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome to Community Watch. Greg,
Doc,
how you doing?
All right, brother, and yourself?
I'm all right. I'm all right. You know, we had a show, I guess it was in the last month or so on, it was actually on changes in gun laws, but it had been a while since we had a police law related show, and it really made us feel like we needed to do more of that. So this is, I guess, the next step in that direction.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm big about community policing anyway. I really believe the more the community know officers and the officer knows the community, it changes the relationships and the dynamics. So I'm really big about learning more about the police department and things they have to deal with and making sure that they know us as a community.
Well, we got a number of issues that are coming up today, some teen driving issues, and I think we'll touch on a number of things today. And we have two officers that are going to be with us, so should be a very interesting show. Please stay with us. We'll be back with our guests right after this.
Good one, son.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing.
Wow! I'm so proud of you, son.
And then we went on Thunder Shark. That was awesome! Let's go again. 3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Oh, not again.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We're very happy to have with us today Sergeant Joe Kostalnik. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Lieutenant Chris Dehart.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I know that we're going to talk about a particular event coming up, but we were talking a little bit about teen driving, and I know that is not a new concern. I mean, issues that come up with drivers that are young and inexperienced. Is that something that our police officers are particularly concerned about? Have been for a period of time.
Oh, absolutely.
What are some of those concerns that y'all have with teen drivers? Some of them are probably not a surprise to us, but I'm just curious what concerns policemen about teen driving.
You want to go? You want me to
I would say awareness. Obviously, with them being young and new to driving and not having any experience and just time out there behind the seat, they're not aware of their surroundings. And we see a lot, especially in car accidents. Yeah, and even minor ones. We just see, errors that normally wouldn't occur with someone that's a little bit more experienced. They're not aware of their surroundings so much. That's one of our big concerns. Also, I guess with the recent technology changes, we see a lot of texting and driving, especially amongst teens. And I know there's a big campaign to stop that, and our guys are very, very adamant about it when they see it. It is definitely an issue.
This is just to help me out because, and you know this probably already. You probably do. There are some limitations to teens that have just gotten their license about when they can drive or with who? I mean, aren't there?
There are, and I know the laws have changed more. I think the lieutenant would probably know that a little bit better than I at this point, but they have changed drastically in the last few years.
The largest restrictions are for the first 6 to 12 month period that you get your Class D license, and then after that your time period starts going out. And all that information is on the back of their driver's license. So it's very clearly evident to them when they get their driver's license what they can and can't do. And a parent can go on the back of that and read that, or it's also in the driver safety manual when they sign for their driver's license. You know, the state does a really good job about putting that information out there. Excuse me. About putting that information out there to parents and caregivers.
Now let me ask you this, so because you mentioned text and driving, and we know that's just not a teen issue.
Sure.
We know it's just not a teen issue, but have we seen us? I mean, because you hear when you hear about the big campaign, but have the numbers increased in the number of accidents for teens due to texting?
Do you see any increase? I would say awareness has been more. I don't know if there's an actual correlation that we can sit here and talk about numbers-wise. I think that the awareness in the community, especially with the officers, the awareness of the community now with the law and the penalties with it, we're seeing more enforcement because we are finding it. It is something to look for. So we try to determine if there was possibly a texting issue involved in an accident. It is difficult.
It's very difficult.
Sometimes those are just solved simply by asking questions, and they tell you what they were doing.
Because I'm thinking, if you got a person that's young, they driving, they texting, let's say they just ran into somebody, they put their phone up. I thought I mean, it's just could be so hard in some incidents to tell.
Oh, absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is, and that comes with the territory of the scene. When investigating the accident, you'll find, where was the phone when we arrived, and look in the vehicle. When we talk to the driver, what was happening. Sometimes, more often than not, they actually tell you what was going on, and you kind of piece it together and get that final decision. So,
I remember when I took my driving class. This is a few years ago.
No texting wasn't involved.
No, no, but
had the old bag phone right with the antenna.
This is long before that. I remember part of the warning that we got then was trying to manage a number of distractions at one time. Keeping an eye on traffic. Pedestrians, all these things you have to kind of.
Yes.
So, I guess now multiple additional distractions exist. I can't even imagine back then. We did have cars though. Yeah. Back then, eating in your car, because really there weren't fast food restaurants everywhere. So I mean that's a distraction.
Well, you got to be able to multitask when you operate a motor vehicle. I mean, no doubt. And some folks are real good at it, and some are not quite. You had mentioned a while ago about some of the problems that we have with teen driving. Most of the interaction that the community has with us is on an enforcement aspect. So we get a bad rap for all. That's all the traffic guys do is out. Writing tickets and this, that, and the other. But enforcement is one aspect of our job, but just as important, if not a greater significance portion of that job, is public education and community involvement. If we can get to these teen drivers, just like in the education system, if we can get to the teen drivers early and try to inform them and educate them, we may not make a substantial dent immediately, but in the long run, if we really concentrate on our programming, as these young drivers turn in and mature into young adults, we'll see a substantial decrease in the number of accidents, the number of fatalities. So we have to get in the school system and make a dent there first, and that's what we're trying to do with our program and just with our unit, the Selective Enforcement Unit, which is our traffic division at the department. Enforcement's only 1/3 of a three-pronged approach.
Yeah.
And the other is about getting the information out and educating the public. And if we can start young enough, and especially in the high schools, if we can start there and make a substantial dent in the future, that's going to pay off big in the amount of lives that are saved. That's just my opinion.
Is driver's ed required now?
Driver's ed still required.
It was like the Joshua Law, several things
Yeah.
that I know kids have to do. It's far harder.
It's not as easy as it was even when
Yeah,
I was
it's
getting
so
my
hard.
license. It was just you turned 16 and you went out and got your driver's
so
license.
many hours you got to have actual behind the road, and
Yeah.
it's
It is more difficult.
yeah. But when you talk about awareness and when you think about it, I guess with anything really, and I guess it's kind of a bad rap on teens, they just don't have the experience.
Exactly.
It's some things we take for granted, I guess, as veteran drivers, that, when it's raining, road conditions, just certain things, when it's getting dark, just certain things you become more hypersensitive to just out of experience.
Right. Absolutely.
Then I guess teen drivers, they just haven't had the time to develop that.
Yeah, and that's what we hold them at fault for not knowing for something they haven't had a chance to learn yet. And how do you defeat that? And as he was saying with our programs, we hope that by going to them and just showing them maybe one thing that we may have seen, that may stay with them forever and remind them when they're in a situation when behind the wheel that what could happen, as opposed to just the unknown realm of driving, and they can remember a particular incident and say, you know what, I don't think I want to do that today. And that kind of gain a little experience without actually having to experience it. That's kind of the goal.
I know I got a traffic question though. So, based on y'all experience, it's just a guess. How much do drivers decrease their speed when they spot you? Because I mean, let's be honest, you moving, and all of a sudden traffic just slows up, and you automatically start thinking it's a cop up ahead. Because all of a sudden traffic just. So I mean, do y'all laugh at stuff like that when you just all of a sudden it's just.
I don't know. Well, sometimes you just have to. I mean, sometimes
we're all human. Sometimes the things that the general public does is comical just because we happen to be there. But we put our shoes on just like everybody else. But you had asked about the folks that reduced their speed or changed their driving habits because they see us. That is one of the good aspects of doing some of the patrols that we do at our high accident intersections. Is exactly what you said. Officer presence does change behavior, and if just happen to be parking next to one of our busy intersections, let's say Martha Berry at McCall, if that prevents an accident while one of the officers sitting there doing a incident report, hey, so be it.
And that's what our guys do. They're called directed patrols, and when they have time to invest, they'll sit somewhere and watch an intersection and or work on paperwork that they have to get done in the car, allow their vehicle to be present in the area, and then in turn during that time frame,
So
two for one, they get their job
so
done, and we're kind of hoping that we
Yeah.
prevent an accident.
Which makes sense though, because you're serving more.
Utilizing
than
it for what it can be utilized for, as opposed to pulling in the parking deck or something.
You mentioned accidents and mistakes from teens not being experienced. I guess the reason, and we're going to get to your event coming up as well. The reason we need to take this so seriously is that even the most minor mistake in judgment can have just horrendous results.
Yes,
absolutely.
It's not like a mistake we make daily in some other way that we get past pretty easily, but this could really have terrible.
Yes, and the thing is, the difference in it compared to some of the other crimes that we deal with and investigate, the lack of intent. There's not really an intent there. There's a genuine mistake, and what happens can be devastating for families, community, everybody involved. And we don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. And if you can try to prevent somebody from having that one mistake that they didn't ask for, didn't intend to get, hey, it's worth it, right?
Well, we're coming up on our break. When we come back, we'll give the details about what you have coming up and talk some more. So please stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
I'm transferring to the University of West Georgia.
Columbia University.
Kennesaw State.
UGA.
Loyola University in Chicago.
Grambling State.
Shorter University.
I'm going to Greensboro College, and we all got our start at Georgia Highlands.
No matter where your educational journey takes you, you can get your start at Georgia Highlands College. Georgia Highlands College. Enroll, engage, excel.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and we're having a conversation with Sergeant Joe Kostalnik and Lieutenant Chris Dehart. Am I doing all right with those? Am I close?
Doing very well.
Very well.
Very well, compared to some we've heard before.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the event that's coming up later this month.
A company called Fear This Incorporated, which was designed to provide emergency vehicle operation training to teen drivers. The Rome Police Department, along with Richard B. Russell Airport, are partnering together to bring this to Rome. And it's similar, very similar to the law enforcement training class that is provided down at the Public Safety Training Center in Forsyth. And they're teaching it here locally. So it's police driving techniques taught by post-certified and mandated officers or instructors to our local youth.
And that's coming up on the
22nd, 23rd in November.
So is it two separate events?
No,
days,
it's the same.
They go for both days?
Correct. The first day is a Saturday. They'll come in, they'll have roughly 3 hours of classroom training. They'll go over what's expected. They'll inform the parents if the driver's young enough, but under 17, they'll have to have a parent. They'll go over some basic safety procedures and the reason why the class is being taught, some recent statistics and fatality numbers they'll go over, so they'll be exposed to that. Then they'll go to Richard B. Russell Airport, and there'll be a time frame. So there's 2 days, kind of like a day and a half of time frames. Because it is a driving course, you can't have 45 students on the course at the same time, so they have to be kind of spaced out. So it's a first come, first served basis on the course for the 45 students. So the earlier that you get registered, the earlier you'll be done. In best case scenario, you could be done at the conclusion of Saturday evening. If you're a late registrant, you may have to go to the classroom on Saturday morning, and then your appointment won't be until Sunday. So it just kind of depends.
Okay.
So really, I guess it's more like a defensive driving course?
Well,
I don't know if you would call it defensive, as you are just more almost offensive.
Absolutely.
Learning how to maneuver the vehicle, learning things that we as law enforcement officers are taught when we are driving our cars, as well as ambulance personnel, things of that, fire department, what to do when your car does go off the roadway, how to take charge of the vehicle and get yourself back on. So I think it's totally different than a defensive driving, as it is more in, we're going to teach you how to
So do they actually
how to do this?
get hands-on?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
like practice going off the road, recovery,
Absolutely.
and
right.
Okay.
The three main causations of most of the accidents that we have is speeding issues, braking issues, and recovery issues. Speeding issues, they're not going to be covering here. Okay. The braking issues, they will be covering. They'll be introduced to not a skid pad, but a skid vehicle. So if your vehicle goes into a skid, they'll teach them how to counter steer, so they'll have that opportunity. They're also going to be going over precision driving techniques, which is basically a cone navigation course at slow speed. They'll also be exposed to on-road, off-road recovery techniques, teaching them how to not snatch a wheel, and the disastrous results of that if they do. So,
I mean, they'll teach you how to drive the
Yeah.
vehicle and not just
Absolutely.
ride in the vehicle. It's pretty cool.
one reason we're such a big proponent of this is if these techniques are taught to your emergency responders for generations, if they've been working for this amount of time frame, they're tried, tested, and they work. And this company here put it together and saw some of the fatal incidents that we've been having and thought, you know what, If it works for us, why can't we provide it and teach it to the public? And instead of going to the public, they targeted teen driving. And so that's kind of how the thing was invented.
And it'll help them realize it takes the panic factor away. When something does happen, they don't panic and do the wrong thing. They know what to do.
I'm just kind of
it's a very,
Oh,
very
it's-
yeah, it's a lot.
Like, I want to.
Well, have you ever been on a wet roadway
Yeah.
and applied your brakes and you lost control of your car?
Oh,
You know,
yes.
if you've never been exposed to that, you know, panic's going to set in, your heart rate's going to jack up to 145 beats a minute. You're going to have auditory occlusion, you're going to get tunnel vision, and you're not going to know what to do. You're going to panic. And what this course is designed to do is to simulate those physiological responses so you know how to handle it. You know, so they're going to stress them out. It's not going to be a gimme course. I mean, the instructor's going to be there and he's going to put them through the ringer. You know, so they'll be able to get what it's like to be stressed.
Now, based on what you're saying, based on the description, it makes me wonder why it's not more mandatory, in a sense, really. The kind of because really, in the end,
Right.
these are skills they really need to know.
I agree.
And learn at some point.
Everybody needs
Oh,
to know that.
absolutely.
Yeah. I would say probably resources on that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy thing to put together. Of course, that's why they use the airport. When we go through it with skid pads, there's a tremendous amount of vehicles that need to be changed to
Changed,
cause this,
maintained.
the
It's
overinflation of the tires, things of that nature. And then, of course, I'm sure that sometimes there are accidents out there. And getting the amount of cars available to do this, more openly, to get to a greater amount of people is just, I don't think the resources are there yet.
Right. Well, that's why the course has a cost to it.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we've had one company who's gone in and sponsored to bring it here locally, so to reduce some of the cost. It's a really good program.
What is the cost, Lieutenant?
It's $125, and it was $175, so it's been cut due to one of the sponsorships down to $125.
And it is accepted by insurances, correct?
Yep, sure.
I
The
remember.
state insurance commissioner, John Oxendine, I believe.
Yes, if you sign your children up and put them through,
he's given his
you'll get a reduction.
approval of the program, so it's good stuff.
So, do the students who do this have to have their license?
Absolutely.
It says
Minimum learner's license and 30,
Exactly.
30 seat hours.
30
behind the wheel.
hours behind.
A 15-year-old who just got a learner's license who's spent minimum time behind the wheel will not fare well in this course. They need some driving time behind the wheel so they'll have some basic understanding of the car.
Okay.
Otherwise, they'll just be lost.
Now, is it open? I know this is Rome is a partner, it's done in Rome, but is it limited to just Rome teens, or is it just
No.
really truly first come, first serve?
First come, first served basis. We've sent the pamphlets and the information out to all of our local high schools, specifically targeting here locally, but the information's gone out to our local area, Cartersville, Adairsville, Polk, everywhere in Cedartown. So the information's out there. It just kind of depends, see who decides to show up.
And how many students total?
45 total.
So it's not a lot.
So drivers with a learner's but some experience.
Minimum 30 hours is recommended.
I mean, learners or licensed?
Learners.
Learners, so you can have a learner's. Okay.
With experience.
With experience.
Yeah. And then teen drivers, the upper age range would be 19?
19's a cutoff.
Okay.
I mean, you can be 19, but you can't be 20.
All right.
So that rules us out,
Yes,
I'm
I
just
guess
saying
it
it wouldn't
does.
hurt, but but I'm just thinking it's 45. Like you said, resources, but I'm thinking that'll kind of book up kind of quick. 45 is not a lot of slots.
You would think, but I've fielded a lot of phone calls and talked to several parents over the last week. When they made the statement, well, I'd really like to get my youngin into that, or he or she would really benefit. And they said, well, how much is it? And I said, well, it's $125. Oh, wow, it's right here at Christmas. And my argument to that is $125 expensive? Yes, $125 is very expensive for anybody. But here's the deal. Would you rather pay $125 or would you rather get that phone call in the middle of the night to know that your loved little child, or I say little child, my daughter will always be my little girl, but you know, your child was seriously injured in a car accident. And to know that 2 days ago, if they would have had that opportunity, they would have learned the necessary skill to prevent that. Some accidents are going to happen regardless, but others can be prevented with just some minimal exposure training. And $125, $225,000 for medical bills.
That's a good investment.
So
you don't even have to be that severe. I just don't want that phone call that you was in the wreck, period, especially one that could be prevented. So it's not just 125 wasted. That is an investment in which we know teens are prone to be in accidents.
Absolutely.
So
yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking to some kids.
And it's $125, but you gain some valuable experience with that purchase as well that your child does not have prior to. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to be taught to you, but there's a lot of time behind the wheel doing things that you hope you never have to do when you're on the roadway. So to get that time and that feeling and that experience is phenomenal. Goes a long way. It really does.
You know, you talk about experience, and it just, I think we take it for granted. I mean, even simple things like I'm quite sure when you learned how to drive, how to even change your tire. It was just certain things you had to learn before my mom let me drive. And it just seems like as we have evolved, these are some things that, you know, we just should make sure our children know before we put them out there, because everybody else out there don't know it. And so we need to, you know, it's just not a lot of money, I don't think, for this right here.
No.
What do they do to sign up, to register?
There's, they can go to the website,
fearthis.com
or something.
It's fearthisforlife.org, I believe.
Yep, there it is.
Fear This for Life.
With the number 4.
Oh, Fear This number 4 life. Okay. Fear This number 4 for life at .org?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So they can register it online that way.
Yes, they can.
And if they have questions about it, do they contact?
I would say
they can call
they can call give them his office.
They can call their own police department, ask to speak with anybody with the selective enforcement.
Absolutely.
We'll be more than willing to explain it to them, sit down with them, talk to them on the phone, whatever they need. And it's not just Chris and I. Any of our motorcycle officers will be available to discuss it at any time with anybody. So.
Well, we're coming up on another break here. When we come back, I will give you that contact information again so you can register your teens for this important program. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Seven 7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and we've been talking with Sergeant Joe Kostalnik and Lieutenant Chris DeHart about a program coming up on the 22nd, 23rd.
Yes, sir.
Called From Fear This on teen driving. It's $125.
Yes, sir.
Well worth that to learn the skills to be a better driver and possibly save lives. Go to fearthisforlife.org or call the Rome City Police to get more information. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Community Watch.